In this part of our tutorial series, we will start with the copy of the whiteboard that in the last part we downloaded from WebTyco onto the computer, and now we'll work offline, only inside the computer, and what we will do is to transfer our solutions to the problems that have been designated for us to contribute to the whiteboard from our paper solutions into the copy that we have downloaded into the computer. First, let's open that copy that we saved. And as we look at this whiteboard, we notice that it's broken into several areas. First, as we scroll up to down, we see that there are different item numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Each item will have one or more particular problems assigned to it. For example, on this item number 1, we have page 233, number 1, followed by page 285, number 28. This item will be assigned to only one study group member, in this case, Crystal. And you'll notice that Crystal is the only person that can type into the contributors section, the gray box. And the rest of you, as her study group mates, can make inputs, comments, or agreements, suggestions on how to help her into this lighter colored box that is immediately to the right of it. Only the person who is designated at the top of this item is allowed to type into the contributors box. From time to time, the instructor's grade will change. When the grade is colored red, it means that you should do some work. When you finish doing the work, then you can change the color to green. That means that I should grade what you did. When everything is finished, then the grade will appear as a black 100. That's what you're aiming for. Until that happens, it's a back and forth process between the red grades that I give you to make changes with and the green grades that you give me back to make a new grading on. I will also make comments to help you with your work, and my comments will go into this box that's known as instructor's comments. So let's work a few, for example. Let's assume that you are the student named Jessica. We will scroll down. We will see that there are some number of these items that are assigned to you. All of these items that are assigned to you, it is your responsibility to put your solutions into the contributors box. Again, these are solutions that you have previously worked out on paper, and all you're doing right now is transcribing them into this MS Word copy using the keyboard and the equation editor. The instructions for the format that you use are quite clear, and they're spelled out in the instructions to your weekly assignment, and they should be followed. First, in the contribution box, the first thing that you do is to copy the actual problem, page and problem that you're now working on. The next thing that you do is to look up that particular problem on that particular page in your textbook, and you copy down any instructions that the book gives you for working this problem. In this case, they say to solve. The next thing that you do is to copy the problem exactly as it exists in the textbook, not to make any changes of it, but just to put it into this box exactly the way that it works. Since this is an arithmetic problem, we have to invoke the equation editor. That is, as usual, is done by clicking on Insert, clicking on Object, then clicking on Microsoft Equation 3.0. After we have put the cursor at the point where we wanted this to appear. I will now copy the problem as it exists in the textbook. It starts with a fraction, so I do Control F. T on the top and 12 on the bottom. A right arrow to clear the fraction, an equal sign from the keyboard, another fraction with a 5 on the top, a down arrow, 6 on the bottom, and a right arrow to clear the fraction. And now we click outside to indicate that the problem has now been entered. So next we come down a space and we start our solution. Notice these first two lines contain only the problem number and the page number, followed by the instructions from the textbook, followed by the problem as it exists in the textbook. You've done no work of your own yet. Now we come to your work for your solution. Again, it's an arithmetic problem, so we put the cursor where we want the equation editor to work, and we invoke the equation editor, and we commence with our solution. First, I'm going to say that t times 6 is equal to 5 times 12. In other words, what I did was cross multiply. And on the next line, I'm going to work that out a little bit and say that 6t is equal to 60. And in the next line, I'm going to write a statement that I really don't need, but I'm putting it in for the clarity of my study group's mates, in case they're not really sure what I'm doing at this point. So I invoke another fraction. On the top, I have 6t. On the bottom, a 6, a right arrow to clear the fraction, equals, and then it is another fraction with a 60 on the top, and on the bottom, the same 6, the right arrow to clear the fraction. And finally, I give my answer, t equals 10. There are no units in the problem, or I would put units at this point also. Now, at this point, I have finished with my contribution to this contributor's box. So later, I'm going to take the work that I've done here and transfer it to the current copy of the whiteboard that is currently on WebTyco. So I'm going to go through these items one by one, transferring the ones that I've done work on. So I want to be able to quickly find them. So my habit is, in this location that I've indicated, to put for myself a red X, which indicates that this is one that I want to actually transfer. I continue down, looking for more of my work, looking for more of Jessica's contributions. Oh, here's another one. It says to 233, 9, and 307. Well, I'm going to actually assume that 233.9 is a problem that it's actually not, and I'm going to assume it's a word problem. I'm going to assume that that problem is I paid $20 for a meal. The sales tax rate was 5%. What was my total bill? Now, I got that in the wrong font, so I'm just going to make that a lot easier. We should be working in Times Roman 11. This is the way the whiteboard comes out to be most efficient. Times Roman 11, and we don't need the bold. So now we have the problem copied in exactly as it is in the textbook. So next I will write any formulas that I happen to be using. If not, I will go to my solution. So the first step in my solution, I'm going to say that the total equals cost plus tax. And the next line that I need is that the tax equals tax rate times cost. So now I'm going to ready to put in some numbers. So first I'm going to say, and I'm going to invoke the equation editor here. So insert an object, Microsoft 3.0, and the equation editor comes up. I'm going to say tax equals tax rate. Now the tax rate is 5%, so I have to change that into a decimal, so that's 0.05 with a times the cost of the meal, which was $20. So the next line is to calculate that out. Tax equals 0.05 is $1. So now I have to say that the total equals 20 plus 1. And now I'm finished with the equation editor. And now I'm out of the equation editor, and I go in and give my actual answer, including the unit. In the same wordage that they asked for. What was my total bill? So at this point I say total bill was $21. And we're done with the problem. So now I would go on to her next problem, which is 307. And on the next line, I switch back to the font that I want, which is Times Roman 11. That's the one that we use when we make our contributions. It works out best. Then I open my textbook, and I copy the instructions to the problem. Then I copy the problem itself. Then I give any formulas I might be going to use. And then, mostly using the equation editor, I type in my actual solution. So at this point, I will have finished with this item, and I will go on to any other items that I care to do in this session. I will also flag it with my usual red XX, which indicates to me that I'm going to transfer this. When I finish entering all of my contributions that I care to in this session, which might not be all of them, then I go through the whiteboard and I examine my study group mates' contributions and see whether I agree with them or not. I check them against my paper solutions. Here's one I happen to agree with. So I indicate that by, in the assist box, writing the problem number, then I write I agree, and then I write my name, which is Jessica, indicating that I agree with this solution. And then I continue forward and see others that I agree with or disagree with. Well, here's one that I also agree with. So I type in the problem number, and I agree, Jess. Now, this is one that I'm going to flag because I'm going to take some action on it. So I also give a red X to indicate that, and the same with the one up here. So when I finish working, what I have done is make my own contributions, my initial contributions, and I have also indicated those of my study group mates that I agree to. So at this point, we save this, and we can come back later in the day, open it again, and work some more. We can come back later in the day, open it again, and work some more. So after having saved the file, then I continue working on it until I'm satisfied I've done all the work that I want. When I've done that, then I go into the next tutorial and we study how to transfer what you've done here onto the latest copy of the whiteboard that is existing on WebTyco. So we're finished here with this one. So I'm going to close out the MS Word and we will stop this tutorial.